Hey everybody, Soma here. I'm with Jimmy Wisenhunt, senior game designer on H1Z1, a game that I am super stoked for because I'm a huge zombie nerd. How are you today, man?
I'm doing well, man. E3's been a blast so far. So many
day
people.
two,
It's
yeah.
crazy. Just sensory overload. It's fun, though.
Awesome. Yeah, so I've been streaming and playing zombie games for a couple years now. I absolutely love DayZ, Project Zomboid, stuff like that. I think it's fantastic. H1Z1 is more of an MMO, though, isn't it? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, no, it's a survival MMO, and it's MMO in the way that it's persistent. It's huge. It's massive. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So is this, like, how big is the map? Can you kind of lay it down for how massive this world is?
I can tell you where we are now, and we're going to be growing from there. We're actually starting with 64 square kilometers, and we're going to be growing from that. We're starting off in a place called kind of middle America, kind of looks northwesternish. It's kind of foggy, rains a lot, and just the kind of trees you'd expect, rolling hills, small towns. And we're just going to keep going out and growing and growing.
Fantastic. So in terms of gameplay, are we going to be seeing massive hordes of zombies and then also players that are trying to kill us as well, like a PvP aspect that we're always going to have to watch our back because the humans are always the worst, right?
Well, see, ours is a little bit different that way. I mean, yeah, people obviously very smart, and they're going to troll you, and they're going to have a lot of fun. That's one of my favorite parts of the game. I think that's what really makes it, is the human interaction element. But we're leveraging our world in a new way. Things are going to be much more challenging than what people are used to. You brought up the hordes. We've shown a little bit as we're kind of messing around. We're in pre-alpha right now. We've been releasing a lot of our footage on Twitch and streaming that live as we're developing.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and we've showed some people just mass amounts of zombies. Like, we can support more zombies than a player could kill in his life. But so it's this tightrope act of how do we make sure that we're leveraging the world enough to where players don't have to work together, but it's definitely beneficial. And it's so far been a lot of fun to try to find that line.
So how many people can be tossed in this world? How many players?
We're still working those numbers out right now,
I'm
man.
so excited. Yeah, I want to know. Yeah.
Well, so what we're doing is we're going to be growing the world. So the larger that gets, the more players we're going to support, and that's why early access is really important to us, because we get the opportunity to really find out what works. Because there are obviously very defined goals with a survival game. We don't want to make sure that you're running around and be like, hey, it's another dude, just everywhere. So
sure, absolutely. So I'm really happy you brought up the whole streaming it on Twitch aspect. Sure. I love the fact that you guys are kind of embracing live streaming and developing the game for people to kind of see each step of the process. Who came up with that idea, and why did you guys decide to do that? Because it's brilliant, in my opinion. I think it's great.
Well, a lot of us, I mean, and you hear this a lot, but I mean, we really mean it. We're gamers. We really are. We all play this genre, and we all play, like I came from PlanetSide 2, and we're all really big fans of just watching our players play. And I've been streaming for a long time, actually partnered with Twitch for the last couple of years. And so it's just, the community aspect is so important to us. And by us going to Twitch, we figure out exactly what players want in real time. And they're very loud, which I love. Actually, the chat's right there. I love that.
You don't want to look at the chat. Yeah, very distracting. It's moving quick.
Yeah.
So in terms of the game itself, are we going to be able to see, like, jump in vehicles, airplanes? How can we navigate the map? Because that's something that playing like DayZ and stuff like that, which is an alpha still, that's kind of an issue with that. But it seems like you guys have a pretty robust system in terms of transportation and getting around. Can you maybe elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, we're on the Forge Light engine, and we leverage a lot of what we worked on PlanetSide 2, which is really fun because, well, not only do we all work on it, it's just a great engine. And we have a lot of dynamic ability to do whatever we want with the vehicles. PlanetSide 2 supports massive flying vehicles, or we have the off-roaders and stuff in our game. We're starting with kind of a vertical slice, so we're just going out with an off-roader. It's a four-wheeled vehicle, doors and all, and you're going to be able to just use that for now because we want to see where we need to go. We're starting with a baseline and have the players on Twitch and who get an early access help direct where we're going.
Awesome. So I think we have some footage or some B-roll maybe we could look at. I would love to see it on the screen so we could talk over it. But there we go. Yeah. Okay. So the art style is fantastic, by the way. It looks really pretty, and you guys have been developing it for a while now. So it's looks great so far. Yeah,
what you're seeing right now, this is just bits of our world, kind of showing off a little bit of our lighting. Once again, we're in pre-alpha state right now, but we already have our 24-hour day-night cycle in. We have the ability to tune that back and forth to what really feels right. You can see, like, some of these shots are in the evening. You'll see some at night a little bit later. The zombies in our game, obviously you're seeing right now, work a little bit differently than a lot of other zombie games you may be used to. The fact is, these guys are attracted to not just you visually. They can almost smell you, man. If there's a lot of activity and they're not happy with where they are, they're not getting what they need, they're going to move somewhere else. So as you build in our world and you do all these other things, you're going to change where they're at. And it can be scary. We also have wildlife in our game, which you, I believe, just saw on the screen here. It's not just for decoration. It's not just for food. It is those things, but I have seen a deer come busting out of the woods. We're showing the game on the floor with some of our partner booths and talking to some press, and we saw a deer right there actually come busting out of the forest, and it's just running. And if they're running, they're spooked. And here come 20 zombies chasing the deer.
Oh, that's so great.
And occasionally you'll be going after a deer, and a wolf comes to steal your meal. So it's a very dynamic
That's
world.
so great. Wow. So in terms of like whenever you're trapped in a building, there's a bunch of zombies outside, and you're stuck. Can you actually like barricade yourself in? Is there construction and stuff like that in the game? Can you even build shelters or?
That you can. We actually did a 12-hour live stream on Twitch, and that was the feature that the community picked for us to develop in one day in the 12 hours.
I remember that. Yeah.
So what we did was barricades. So barricades, you get some wood together, some planks, and then you're going to be able to socket those to pre-existing buildings. So you run up and you hammer those things onto the windows. They're destroyable, but what you... I love that. That's so awesome. But yeah, they're destroyable, so you put those up on the walls, and if you're quiet enough, you're going to be okay. But you barricading that up is a signal to players that someone's in there, and they can come knock down that door and come after you.
That's awesome.
If you do make noise within the house, the zombies don't just forget about you because they can't path to you. They will try to tear these things down and come after you as well.
That is so cool.
Yeah, that's probably one of the first things you're going to be doing in the game is you're going to be trying to just survive the first night or day whenever you get in and try to barricade up a house as you start to get materials together to build your own house. You'll be able to do that as well.
So how gritty is it in terms of whenever you first start, you're a survivor that's just starting day one, day zero. Is it difficult to find gear and items and weapons, or are you really going to have to explore and get out in the world and look around? Or is it's not just handed to you, obviously? So
absolutely, and you're not just exploring the world. So they're
that is awesome.
I don't know who recorded this, but they're not very good at this whole driving thing.
They're running from one of the deer.
So it's not just about exploring the world, but that is very, very cool and a lot of fun, but you're also exploring what you can create as a player. There are high-end weapons you can see right here. You're not going to be crafting an AR-15, and you're not going to be crafting
a little weird.
that would be weird. It's like, hey, let me just have the stamped weapon made from a forge, right? Instead, what you're going to be doing is getting things together like a bow and an arrow, and you're going to get like thrown spears, something we're working on right now.
Maybe a bat and some barbed wire, maybe?
Right, you can do, and that's
awesome.
the thing. And you can start combining these crafting things together, and we have a discovery system for our crafting. So you start off with very basic recipes, and you might find out one day that we ninja patched in a grenade that you mix with meat, and that is now a zombie magnet that explodes. Like, we want to do really fun stuff like that. It's still tangible, right?
Sure.
So, yeah.
So in terms of, like, the medical system, like, can you, like, lose a limb, break your leg, be stuck out in the woods sick, puking?
So we're fleshing a lot of that out right now. We're all fans of the genre, and we want to make sure that when a player plays, there is consequence to every action. And we're still, it's a hot topic in the office about whether or not when you fall and you do damage yourself, if you should break your leg. We're still back and forth on that, but it's very easy for us to tune how damage affects you. So we're still fleshing that out. Early access, all the players will be able to yell at us and tell us what they want. So.
Sure, if you don't have a buddy out there, you're screwed, right?
Yeah, right.
So in terms of playing with friends, is there like a party system where I can like see their name on the screen or something like that? Or do I just have to remember, okay, the guy in the red hat's my buddy, the guy in the striped shirts, he's my enemy?
Right off the bat, we're not going to throw in a bunch of the party systems and all that. You will be able to add your friends, and we're going to have Steam integration in there so you can have some perks with that. But we're going to see where players go socially and then add the support we need. Because once again, we're leveraging what we did on PlanetSide 2, so that has anywhere from two-man groups all the way up to full-on outfits and platoons and all that. So.
It's fantastic. Nice fire effects.
Yeah, I know. That's actually president of our company is obsessed with this fire, and as am I. Like, you can hear him yelling from his office, "Fire, fire!" as he tries to catch all of us on fire during playtest.
This looks great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's actually one of the first things you'll probably end up crafting. You got your bow and your arrow, you got your spears and stuff, and you do have the torch. The torch is good it's a good source of light. Initially, we went ahead and just gave it to players right off the bat, and we found out very quickly that was a bad idea, because what's the first? You have fire. It's like, can I catch this guy on fire? And then you do, and you're like, that's awesome, and just everything's on fire suddenly. So.
What about setting like a deer on fire?
You can do that, but I will say it is pretty impossible to catch up with a deer. Like, just running up there. The goal is to have them skittish, not like sneak up on them.
You're not like out there petting the wildlife,
Yeah, like hanging out in the treehouse, just like, just dive bomb them with a torch. Yeah, no, we're going to try to avoid that.
That's awesome. No, this looks great. So how many outfits, backpacks, stuff like that are you guys throwing in? Is it going to be like a ton of stuff that you can like maybe buy or just find? Or
Well, so within the game, there is no set economy. I mean, we are a free-to-play game. It will be microtransaction, but everything we do will not have any impact, like zero impact on the way that you survive in the world.
Okay, I was going to ask. Okay.
Yeah, and that's really important to us
sure,
in a survival game. We don't want to completely break that.
Yeah.
Exactly. And but within the game, there are a lot of different shirts and different backpacks of different sizes. There are hats in the game. Right now we're playing with the best way to get a flashlight attachment on a hat. So instead of having to carry on this flashlight all the time at night, you can upgrade to throwing a hat on that has a flashlight. And we want to have that sort of customization and options for different playstyles.
Yeah, buying power is never a good thing. So yeah, being able to buy like hats, stuff like that, that's something I would want to do. So that's fantastic. Yeah, so you guys just saw some of the footage from H1Z1. It looks fantastic to me. Any timeline and when people can start getting their hands on it? Because I'm sure that's what everyone wants to know.
Well, we're not specific with it right now. We really want to make sure that we have the basics in, and once again, we're really open with our development, and we welcome everyone to come in and talk to us about what they want to see. And looking at what everyone expects, and us being players of this game, we kind of stepped back and said, what is it that we want 100% the day one so players can truly understand what we're going for? And we want to make sure that vision is there so players can help direct us where they want it to go.
And how much do you listen to the player voice? Like, is it like a massive part of the development? Like,
yes, it's seriously, I mean, it 100% is. Getting on Reddit every morning and trying to read through, I mean, there's a ton of comments there daily, and we can't take everything into account, but it's a good way to get temperature of what the community has going on, because if there's a million upvotes on something, well, people seem to like that idea, and we're going to check it out.
Absolutely.
And we've actually had debates with players over Twitter and on Reddit over like whether or not we should do something, and they win. So like a lot of times they're like, okay, fine, we'll do it.
So when can we expect to see more streams? Like, what's the next H1Z1 stream?
You know, actually, we don't have one scheduled as soon as possible. I mean, we've talked about a couple times on our own streams is we're pretty rapid development. I mean, by the time I left the office and I get back, it's going to be so much different. I check my email like I'm like a kid in a candy store. It's like, you want to get back, I get to tune. Free Look just came online. That was one of the most requested things, of course. Like, you don't want to feel claustrophobic and have to turn all the time.
Of course.
So our Free Look's in right now, and we just keep working towards different functionalities like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another thing you guys did that I thought was great was you kind of did like a War of the Worlds kind of thing where you had like this radio broadcast.
Yeah.
And that was fantastic. I really love that. Are you guys going to do more stuff like that, or is it going to be more development stuff?
I think it was definitely mixed reviews on that, right? But the people that wanted
I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I thought it was cool, too. And I'm usually not the lore guy. What I loved about that was the fact that you get to hear the story from beginning to end, and we're not throwing it in your face in a survival game because you want to feel isolated. You don't want something holding your hand and throwing things in your face all the time. But we do have this backstory that I think is pretty cool, and that really helped bring it to life for a lot of people. And I think we plan on doing more stuff like that, even with the community, which is going to be really exciting.
Can you maybe sum up why the zombie apocalypse happened and what's going on in the world, or is that something that's more to come later on?
Well, we've actually talked a lot about it, and I'm definitely not the lore guy, but essentially this has been something that's going on for a long time. It goes all the way back to the medieval ages and Island Pavaglia and research that was done. And, you know, there were some rumors about what actually happened in World War II with Nazi Germany and all this. And this is something that's been a long time coming, and it kind of just came to a head. You definitely got to check out Survivor Radio Broadcast if you haven't yet. It's very long, but it's worth sticking through.
It's worth it. It's super cool. I loved it personally. So yeah,
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, the game looks amazing, man. As a zombie nerd, I've been playing zombie stuff for years and years, and people say sometimes, you know, the zombie genre is kind of congested. You know, why is there more? I think zombies are such a great enemy in a game. They're so easy to do, and there's always room for more, in my opinion. So I can't wait for H1Z1 to come out. I'm going to play the crap out of it. So I'm going to stream it, I know for sure.
Awesome.
So,
Look forward to it, definitely.
It's going to be great, man. Yeah, thanks so much for coming out, man.
Sure.
Any final words you want to say about the game? Anything to get people super stoked about it?
Yeah, I would say, once again, we're listening to you guys, and every day
we're looking at the chat right now.
We're actually looking at the chat right now. I can't get away from you guys. No. At the office every day, part of our practice is we come in, we look at Reddit, and we figure out what's going on. And you may see your ideas in by early access and bits of everyone's ideas. I mean, a lot of my job and the other designers on the project is to look and figure out, maybe if we can't have this exact feature, what is it about this feature that people want, and why? How does it mesh with our game? And we want to have that conversation, be very open about that. So do check out the subreddit. It's H1Z1, and H1Z1.com is now officially live. At H1Z1 game on Reddit, I'm sorry, on Twitter. So just make sure you check us out everywhere. We're always throwing information out. It's actually kind of hard to keep up with sometimes. And tweet at us. We're all very, very active with you guys.
Awesome, yeah. So a few more months. I know I already asked, but like maybe a few more months until we can get our hands on it.
We'll see.
We're not gonna say it all.
We'll see. We're closer every day, man. We're getting the features we want, and we want to get it out there as quickly as we can without compromising the quality of what people have first day. So
awesome. And one quick question: whose idea was it to say H1Z1 is the perfect title for our game? Where did that come from?
That was, once again, it's not just collaborative with community. We all talk, whether we're engineers or art directors, character artists, or designers. We all have conversations about this, and it was just something like we knew what we wanted to make because we want to leverage the engine with a genre we love, and it just kind of came about. And there's always debate back and forth, and we all were like, no, actually, that
it works.
Yeah, we like it.
Sounds great.
Yeah, for sure.
So thank you guys so much for checking out some H1Z1 stuff with us. The game looks incredible to me as a zombie nerd, so I can't wait for it. Maybe we should take maybe a question or something from the chat. Like, let's see.
Well, you're gonna just find the first one we see.
It's just so much spam that it doesn't even matter. Yeah, too spammy. Yeah, too many people in there, dude. Thank you so much for coming out, Jimmy.
Thank you, man.
I am very, very, very excited for the game, as you can tell. All these people look like they are as well. So yeah, we're gonna take it back to you guys. Take it easy. H1Z1, Sony Online Entertainment's new zombie game coming out soon. I can't wait for it.
Hello and welcome back to the stream. I'm Matt Danovic, and you may recognize one Chad next to me. We're very formal.
Good day.
Hello. And from Sony Online, we have Jimmy here to show us H1Z1. I'm really excited about this. One time I had swine flu, so if it's anything like that, this should be quite a ride.
I hope it's more exciting than swine flu.
A little, I don't know, swine flu.
I had ringworm one time. Is it like that?
No, it's
Okay.
a little different.
And let us know if it's like either of those diseases at any point.
All right, well, if we get that far, I'll let you know.
Okay,
All right.
excellent. So you brought some footage. So why don't we jump right into that and see what we've got? And why don't you just give a quick overview of what the game is and what we can expect from it?
Sure, yeah. H1Z1, it's a MMO. It's a survival. It's hardcore. We talked a little about it earlier. What's really exciting for us is our goal is to give players options. Tell your own story, carve your way through a post-apocalyptic world. A lot of zombies in the game, and there are quite a few of those in the space, but the big thing is with ours, this is very challenging. We're bringing consequence back to gaming and here in MMO spaces. Everything you do is going to have some sort of consequence, good or bad, sometimes completely unintended consequence. We've been showing the game all day. It's playable at some of our partner booths here. And we've seen a deer come busting out of the forest. Like, why is that thing running? And there's 20 zombies chasing it out of the forest. Aww. It's an open world game, so a lot can happen.
Did the deer make it, though?
No, the deer didn't make it.
No!
The deer didn't make it.
Oh, so sad.
Oh, man. So right now we're kind of getting an overview of sort of the environments that we're in, and I would guess then from how it's going, there really isn't much left of society, even though this is kind of a rural sort of setting. Like, could you give us like maybe a little bit of background about where this is, as a result, what kind of resources we're going to have at our disposal? Because I imagine there's some sort of like gathering things, gathering resources, building up stuff, equipping yourself to fight the zombies.
Yeah, so we're starting off in kind of anywhere America is what we've kind of dubbed it. It's northwesternish here in the U.S., so you see a lot of rolling plains, small towns.
Grunge albums.
Do what? Grunge albums, yes, grunge albums. And you'll see rain, there's dynamic weather in the game, so it really feels like that area of the United States. And we're going to be growing out from there. And as far as what's left from, pretty intuitive, I guess. You're going to find metal scraps and find ways to melt that down and turn it into things you need to survive. So throughout the world, you'll find some weapons that are left over. They're very incredibly hard to find. I already see that ammo is going to be a currency people are using because you might have 200 bullets, which is going to be incredibly hard to do, but the amount of zombies and wildlife you have to deal with in this game, you're going to try to not waste it on players, but you never know how they're going to react to you.
So yeah, I mean, this is kind of, I got to say, it does seem kind of like a similar genre. There are other games out there that, at least on the surface, look like they do something like this. How is this different from, you know, a DayZ or something?
Well, a few different things. I mean, first off, us as a team, we're incredibly open as a developer. We've been going to Reddit every day. We're actually inviting players to yell at us and tell us what they want about the game. And
why would you do that?
Because it's fun. Like, we actually, the thing is, we can just make games all day and not know exactly what the players want. We would rather go to them and make sure it's an experience that we want to play and that the players are going to align with, right? And beyond that, we're an MMO. It's a persistent MMO. This guy could not drive. I still don't know. Like our AV team recorded. Like, what are they
He
doing?
just took that ramp like a champ, though.
I know. Pre-alpha, by the way. State we're in right now. Vehicles will take damage and everything. You'll see a couple different shots in here with some high-end weapons. But yeah, so we're also very, very large. We're starting off with 64 square kilometers open world. You go where you want. There's no invisible skybox where you go up the top of the mountain. It's like, nope, can't continue any further. Some red flashing lightning. You go where you want, and we'll grow from this northwestern type region out to different ecosystems. So you start seeing cityscapes, you start seeing deserts and all these different types of areas. And with these new areas come new wildlife, and it'll come with new crafting materials and a lot of really exciting things.
Do you mean for that to be like one kind of overworld, or is that kind of like you're going into different zones? Like,
no, you're going to be seamlessly going from one to the other. So you'll just keep going and keep going.
Okay. I'm just curious when you talk about how like having a lasting impression in the game when as a player, like how much can me and like 10 of my buddies just make a weird like area of the town where like we don't go into that town. That's Sky Town.
Shirtless
like,
Sky
can I just
Town.
get a group of guys who just run it as like Mad Max world, or is there kind of like a balance level?
You could do something like that if you wanted to, and enforce your own law in the town, whatever you want to do. I mean, we're not about gating players. We want to give them the options to do whatever. If you're a psycho axe murderer, great. If you want to be the white knight that saves people from the shirtless guys or whatever it is, you can do that.
They have no armor, so they're very easy to take down.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. Yeah, but no, you can build houses in this game. There's foundations. You can plop down in different areas. We're also focusing on that being the very high-end part. So it's going to take a long time to get the resources and store these things together to be able to build your own little towns and things. But it's very much possible and is open to attack from other people.
So yeah, so then how robust, how big is crafting? Like what does that look like? Can I just sort of make anything? Like could I make a giant silo and sit on top of it and snipe people in No Shirt Town, because I probably would want to do that?
Are you the neighbor?
They're walking around without their shirts. They need to get out of the Pacific.
You guys are no
Northwest.
pants town.
It's a Dr. Seuss book. The shirts and the no shirts
Right.
and the Great Shirt War.
The Great Shirt War.
Yeah.
I like it. No, yeah, you can do stuff like that. It's not going to be completely freeform. We want to make sure that there is a little bit of consistency through what happens in the world. So you'll plop down foundations, you can link them together and put freeform walls around the edges. We have some pre-canned like rooms and sheds you can build as well that take more resources. So you can really just go wild with it.
If you go to San Jose area, you could do the Winchester Mystery House and keep on building it with staircases to nowhere. Just a thought. Just could do it up. So I mean, so this is so really the kind of player impetus to do stuff and getting is exploration in order to be able to gather to build up your things. Is there how much? I guess then my question is how much game design, like how much like kind of directed play? Is there any kind of sort of directed play in this? Objectives, things like that?
Well, from the beginning, it's not exactly linear, but there are things you're going to have to do to start your journey into the world. We talked about like the building side of crafting. There's also the personal side of crafting. So you don't just start off with this big long list of recipes of things you could make and weapons. You have to discover how to make these things. So you go chop down a tree, you can turn those into planks, which go into sticks and so forth. Once you do that, this kind of linear path, suddenly you can mix a stick with animal fat and a cloth and you've made a torch. And you start and you might end up with a meat grenade. So you just find like raw meat and throw it at zombies and they run after it and explode and stuff like that. So that's also where we're heading with the crafting.
Could Chad make a shirt?
Chad make a shirt? I don't know. We haven't talked about making shirts.
We should add shirt.
We haven't talked about
crafting.
making shirts.
Yeah,
Please,
as
for
like,
the love of God.
And also like customization. Is there stuff you can do like other than like I found this one shirt and everyone has the same blue denim shirt, or are there like kind of variations on like finding, like, can you change your outfits? Or more like whatever you can grab and you're just wearing?
No, you can find things within the world. There's various types of shirts, different colored backpacks, different types of backpacks of different sizes. You've got hats, pants, and all kinds of stuff out there. And it's going to directly impact your play style. I mean, if you're wet and it's cold outside, you need to keep that dry. You might need to change your clothes, things can get ripped.
Oh, rad.
You can tear them apart by yourself and turn that into cloth, which you can craft with.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
you were proposing an opening charter for the shirtless Tad. So when are we gonna be able to get our hands on the game then?
So we're working every day towards early access. We want to make sure that we have just a vertical slice of the game and something where we have a little bit of every system that will be there on launch day for early access. So people will be able to, for $19.99, get in early access and deal directly with us developers and really tell us what they want out of it and work with us day to day. And so we'll have like the initial vehicle stuff in. We'll have melee combat at its base level, and the crafting stuff's already very deep. And once we flesh out this list of these are the things that players will expect from us, we're straight to early access and on from there.
Awesome. Jimmy, thank you so much for bringing H1Z1 to us. Check it out, guys. I mean, $20 and you get to form your own shirtless town with Chad.
Non-shirtless.
Or non-shirtless town with me, the sensible people out there. So stay tuned. I believe we have Payday 2 coming right up very, very quickly. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Dennis.
Thank you.
I'm Daniel Dwyer from GameSpot, and I'm delighted to be joined by Jimmy Wisenhunt, senior designer on H1Z1.
Yeah, that's right.
How you doing, my friend?
I'm excited, man. I'm awake. This is the first E3 where, like, this part of the day, I'm still awake. I have energy. It's
Really?
good. It's been a lot of fun.
Did you take care of yourself last night?
Yes, I
Yeah?
did. I went straight to bed. It's a hard thing to do, but I managed to do it. So.
H1Z1, for folks who don't know what it is, just give us the sort of broader pitch of what's different about your zombie survival game. Because,
Sure.
you know, I'll call a spade here. There are a number of zombie survival games out there.
Absolutely. It's turned into a genre, right? And we've always been big fans of that genre, and the guys working on this project have pretty much been handpicked. Like, we've all migrated because we like working on this type of game and we want to play it. It's an MMO. That's one of the biggest things with us is at Sony Online, we work on large games. We're all about sandbox gameplay and really giving the player the experience they want. And we've open development practices with this as well. I know you talked to Landmark earlier, and that was just a big thing with us as well. But it's post-apocalyptic, and it's about forming your own story and trying to survive. Just imagine you're dropped off in the woods. You don't have your phone. There's no GPS. Those satellites don't work anymore, and you've got an axe. What are you going to do? I mean, you have to figure that world out. It's a lot of fun.
Excellent. You guys at SOE seem to be embarking on some very interesting projects. I know you worked on PlanetSide 2 as well.
Yep.
What is it about? What are you trying to do here that you think other, you know, like the DayZs in the world and whatnot? What is it about having this kind of the angle that you're taking that things separates it away from those competitors, I guess?
Sure. Well, kind of how it all started is, once again, almost everyone on the team worked on PlanetSide and has dealt with this engine before. So we looked at the engine and we said, what can we do and what would be really fun with this? And we're all big fans of the DayZs and the genre in general. We wanted to see our own take of it. There's some things that we really enjoy about survival that we think other people would as well. And a lot of that has to do with really deep crafting and experimentation with different types of ingredients and exploring a world. We're starting with 64 square kilometers and growing into other areas of the United States. So we're really, really excited to see where this goes because we're having the players help us direct it.
Cool. So let's deep dive on some of that stuff then. Let's talk about the crafting. What it looks like from what I've seen about H1Z1 is that the onus is very much on the idea of survival and the difficulties therein. Sure. So you said you don't start with much in terms of what you have in your inventory. What are the types of stuff you will be crafting and how far does that go?
Sure. So there's two different types of crafting in our game. There's your personal progression where you might craft a bow and arrow, or you might craft something like a spear to go fishing and that sort of thing. And there's also crafting things that you're going to put into the world, and that might be a foundation for a home, the walls that go within that, and storage sheds and all that fun stuff. Starting in the world with the axe, you kind of look through your initial recipe list. You've only got 5 in front of you.
Okay.
And kind of the common sense one's a campfire. You're just trying to survive. Might be dark when you log in. And you need wood. And you have an axe. We want that to be intuitive. And the first thing you do is run up to a tree and you chop the tree down. It'll fall. So you've now made noise. And a player might have seen that fall. The zombies are like, what was that? Let's go find out what that was. And from there, you're just going to work your way through. You can opt to build something like a spear. It's something that actually, this is the first time we're talking about it, is we're going to put in thrown spears and some very improvised weapons. There still are your assault rifles and that sort of thing in game, but you're only going to be able to find those, and they're incredibly, incredibly rare.
And then on the top end of that, are you actually building shelters and places to live and whatnot?
Yeah, absolutely. The Foundation's kind of the first beginning of that. There's different types. Some are better than others in the way they're bigger, and some of them have stilts, so you have more area to put them down on the side of a hill. And from there, it's freeform walls. Throw a roof on it, put some storage inside of it. Become self-sustainable. In the world, there's dirty water you can fill up your bottle with. You can drink that. It's going to hydrate you, but it's going to hurt you. Instead of having to deal with filtering that as you get your home and your little area, you can get things like dew collectors and catch rain and get fresh water that way. And that's really kind of where the high end goes.
James Knack on Twitter asked a very good question. Can we play the game without even engaging in social interaction, or do we have to communicate for some features? So presumably, you know, one of the best ways is to survive is safety in numbers. So is this the type of game where you're going to have to engage other people, or how are you going to?
It's definitely not going to be a requirement, but it's highly recommended. We are leveraging the world against players, and we're not afraid to admit that. It's going to be much more challenging than what people are used to. There are hordes of zombies. The zombies are difficult to kill, and there's not a lot of ammo. As we've kind of been running through the game, we have it here on the floor. An unnatural amount of ammo in the game is 300 rounds. Okay, that's incredible amounts.
Okay.
And I've run out of that ammo trying to escape one pocket of zombies. So coming up against friends or coming up against people and at least trying to talk your way through the psychopath you're smelling on the internet's mind and hope he can help you, that might be a good move. But you never know. We're not going to try to keep our players from communicating or make them communicate. I do recommend it, though, guys. I'm serious. I really do.
I guess one of the problems with eventually getting good at any one of these games is that at a certain point, like you said, you have enough firepower that perhaps packs of zombies, especially if they're kind of dumb zombies like people might be used to in DayZ, the challenge sort of stops, and perhaps that's why humans start turning on humans more. How are you guys going to stop it so that at a certain point, when your player is comfortable, where they've built their house, where they have their walls up, they are sustainable with food maybe, and they have some sort of water purification, that the world is still challenging for them?
Well, so it's you kind of create exponential problems for yourself. So the more noise you make, the more zombies show up, and the more angry they get, and the more other types of wildlife you attract. The larger you build out, the more attention you're going to get.
Right.
The undead in our game is a little more intelligent than what people are used to. We actually were talking about it with some of the players. We had a situation where our system, once again, this is emergent AI. We haven't talked about it just yet, but zombie was running through the front door, and one of our devs closed the door. And the back door was closed as well, so he turned around, he's like, I'm going to go this way. And he opened the door, and the thing was waiting for him right there.
Wow.
He ran around the back super fast, and I caught it out of the corner of my eye running around the side. So it's not, you're not going to outsmart a bunch of these guys. I mean, of course, people are always going to be the most intelligent and, I guess, unpredictable foe, but zombies themselves, they do make a lot of decisions you might not expect sometimes.
So when you're crafting this game, you're obviously going to try and ensure that players are at least adhering to some sort of social quorum, or like so with Red Dead Redemption, for instance, when their multiplayer, people were tying folks up and sticking them on railroad tracks. Some of the problems with other zombie-type games is that often there are groups of bandits going around attacking freshly respawned players. How much is player versus player combat an onus for you guys, and how will you try and address problems that can arise from OP players meeting new players?
So anything's really a possibility. There's always the wild card factor. And once again, one of the first things you're going to be able to do, it'll take a little bit of time, but to get a bow together and to get a spear together, that might sound super inferior, but let's really think about this. A bow through the head is pretty effective. Now, granted, that's a slow projectile, and it's only going to fire one at a time, but you still have a shot to fight these people if you run into them. And as an experienced player who has a gun, you're going to need these new people, and hopefully we're going to see people trying to help them out, because on their own with all their ammo, they're just going to keep bringing more and more hordes of zombies and wildlife to them. They need to try to help recruit people.
So you guys have been pretty active on Reddit as well. There's lots of conversations about the future of this game, because this is it's an SOE. You guys are pretty much on top of the free-to-play stuff. So I know that you guys are still thinking about your monetization. Do you know in which ways you're going to bring that into the game? Because the initial worry would be, oh man, all these zombies are killing me. I'm going to spend $10 and get this massive rocket launcher.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to pay $10 and run 10 meters a second or something,
yeah.
right? No,
that's way better.
We don't want to touch the hardcore survival aspect of the game, because that's why we love it. And that's why players like these sort of games. It's the tension. And even the thought that in the back of your head I could throw some money at us and suddenly be fine. We want to avoid that. So stuff we're looking at selling are cosmetic stuff. We're still having a lot of conversations about it, and the cosmetics won't be the same as you find in the world. Things in the world will keep you warm and will affect you in some way. This kind of stuff would not. And we're still in discussion with other things.
Okay, and I guess you guys have been pretty, I remember with Planet Side 2, you were pretty vocal with your community as well, so it's interesting from somewhere in the press side to see that channel happening, because often we are the conduit, so it's cool to see that happening. Another aspect of that I've read about is the idea of custom servers. You guys have, do you have a max player count already for the servers?
We're still filling that one out because the world will grow. So when early access is really going to help us on Steam, it's really going to help us figure out what number is that fine balance between seeing people and not feeling like you're in a big death match. So it'll keep growing, though, as the world grows.
And is the custom server stuff, would that be maybe something down the line, like allowing players the ability to create their own? Because obviously from a business standpoint, that causes issues.
Yeah, so being an MMO company, we're very proud of our architecture and how many players we can support and everything, and we're going to host all the servers. We have looked at, we've talked about this actually publicly, giving people tokens and the ability to vote on certain rule sets.
Okay.
So the next server that spins up, it could be a different rule set. People want to see zombies with more HP that do more damage, or maybe there's some penalties to tearing down someone's home, or more PvE based versus PvP. We have a lot of options because, once again, we're leveraging ForgeLight, the PlanetSide 2 engine. So there's a lot of things that we can turn on and off per server, and we want to make sure we keep that moving forward.
Cool. Hiplet in the GameSpot chat asks, what type of character customization is there? So in terms of both setting up your character initially and then going on throughout your experience in H1Z1.
Sure, yeah, actually, good question. Like right now, we have a white guy in the game, and then from there, we're going to be going out to male, female, all races will be in there. And that'll be about it for the character customization on the character create. But when you get into the game itself, we have the shirts, the pants, the backpacks are going to change, different hats. If you want to be the guy that stands out all the time and dress in bright orange, you're more than welcome to.
Well, actually, to that point, if you wear a massive Hawaiian red and white shirt, will the zombies maybe notice you more in the woods?
Haven't thought about that.
All right. You can have that one for free.
That's right. I like it. Appreciate
Alak in the GameSpot chat asks, what kind of weapons are available? So you've talked about the sort of low-end axe, bow and arrow and whatnot. What are we talking about on the top end and in between?
Okay, so initially in the game, you're going to see an AR-15, an M16A4, and you're going to see pump shotgun, 12 gauge, a 308 hunting rifle, and it'll grow from there. I know for a fact, right off the bat, we're going to have the M16, AR-15, and 1911 in the game. And we're going to roll out from there. Our goal is to get the basics of each system in so players can help kind of direct where to go.
Okay.
And we're going to continue to grow out with more and more and more guns.
So to that effect as well, and what I'm looking at here is evoking memories of watching the second half of the Walking Dead season just last week. In terms of vehicles, obviously that's an important aspect of that universe. And if you're creating a world which spans a great distance, then vehicles are a useful resource, but are probably more interesting if they're rare. So how are you guys tackling that? Do you have vehicles in the game, and how often do you come across them?
So there are vehicles in the game right now. Right now it's an off-roader. It's a four-door Jeepish type vehicle that's four-wheel drive, all that fun stuff. And that's where we're going to start with early access. And because of the systems and things we've learned from Planets, I have a very dynamic system. We can have aircraft one day if we so see fit to throw that in, and we can put in cars. We can have all kinds of different stuff in the game, and we will.
Yeah. Do you think you're going to go? Because you can kind of go crazy with that stuff if you want. You can do underwater stuff. You can have flying.
Yeah,
we have you're so open much to that sort of stuff?
Yeah, we are. I mean, really, once again, getting that off-roader in there first and seeing kind of what's missing from the puzzle will decide what we do next.
Okay. And again, it's an MMO, so it is a you can go two ways with that. You can go Rust has a sort of an open structure where you are sort of like multiplayer Minecraft, where you are lots of people existing in that world, and there are baddies and antagonists, and you have to kill them. The traditional MMO we would see, especially with guys we'd EverQuest next on, would be a more quest-based scenario. H1Z1, are you guys going to have a sort of are you going to have quest lines, or are you basing this on emergent gameplay and what the players create themselves?
So it's going to be based on emergent gameplay. A lot of the content we'll put in will just kind of inherently drive players to new areas, because starting in this kind of northwestern feeling rolling hills area, play with that for a little while, and suddenly there might be an available cityscape they can wander themselves off to. They can just keep going in old direction and find something new. So those will be driving forces behind the game, because in these new areas, there'll be new sites and new things available to work with. But no, there are not going to be any quest lines or anything like that in-game.
Jonathan Pierce on Twitter, sorry, I'm trying to get as many of these in as possible.
Sure, absolutely.
He asks, if you die in the game, do you have to completely restart from scratch, or will you keep any of the items you've crafted? So how is respawning working?
So it is a permadeath game. What is on your character when you die is lost. Now, this is really fun.
I love it.
Now, think about this for a second.
Yeah.
I really want you to think about this. So you die, and I mean, we're familiar with the old RPGs and everything, where you have to go for a corpse run and be like, crap, let me go get my stuff before someone else grabs it, right?
Yeah.
You come back and your undead self's walking around, so you might end up having to fight yourself to get your stuff back. There's a problem to that too, though, is you're going to see that was a person. He's got a hat on, and you're like, wait, that's not a normal. Yeah. And then you go kill that thing. There's a reason to kill that zombie, because who knows what that character had on him before he died. And also, sad part about it is, if you die, you might go wandering off somewhere before you find yourself again. It could be a week before you find yourself, and that'd be
So
pretty
if
fun.
you die, you restart, re-roll,
Yep.
new dude.
You get to keep your own name, though. We're not going to
really?
force you to create a brand new character. It won't say, so-and-so will live on in infamy or something like that. Like, you actually get to keep your name.
I love it. Absolute pleasure. Jimmy Wisnun, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
on. H1Z1, if folks want to get a hold of it, when is it going to be available and on what platforms?
We're working towards it every day, man. We're trying to get to early access. We want to make sure we have the basics in before we throw that in. It's coming very, very close. Very, very close.
Awesome. Thank you very much for coming on. Enjoy the rest of your E3.
Thank you.